So, Jeff, obviously, you had some contact with Matthew Vaughn that led to you working on this film. Can you talk about what it was that ended up getting you the job adapting Kick-Ass 2?
Yes, I feel like I won the fanboy lottery because I saw the first film in theaters and loved it and didn't know Matthew, never met Mark or John. Probably not, didn't have an experience that different than the experience everyone out here had when they saw the first film. I was just blown away. And I had a project that I was working on, and it was a pitch at the time, and through a producer, I was introduced to Matthew, and over the phone, I pitched him the project. He liked it. I wrote it, sent him the script, and he got back to me. He said, the script is just like the pitch. And I said, yeah. And he said, so you do what you say you're going to do. And I was like, yeah. He said, do you want to do Kick-Ass 2? And I was like, yeah.
And Matthew and John, now having gone through this twice now with these characters, how are you guys feeling about the Kick-Ass films and the Kick-Ass books?
Well, it's quite nice. I've already seen it, so I can tell you it's awesome. It's 5 stars. There's all the review you need. Brilliant. But I couldn't be happier. I mean, like, whenever we heard about Jeff, you know, Matthew says to me, like, trust me, you know, and Vaughn said to me 4 years ago, trust me, I'm going to make the first movie as good as I possibly can. I'm not going to let any studio neuter it and make it rubbish. And he delivered. And he said to me, trust me with Jeff Wadlow, this guy is brilliant. He's going to explode as a director. And he has. It's brilliant. And I couldn't be more excited.
I'd like to translate for those of you who can't understand. I haven't seen the film yet. My parents won't allow it because all the bad guys are Sicilian. I'm incensed. This is supposed to be, the second one was supposed to happen. The fact that I had seen one of Jeff's movies beforehand, and then when I found out he was announced, I went to see everything else he had done, is beside it. I love his visuals, so this is what it should be. And Matthew had a hand in it, and picking Jeff, and the first movie I was very proud, and he was flattered. We flattered, and I'm proud. It's just the one of us.
I was just glad to get paid. It was great.
And when I heard Jeff was going to do it, it made sense to me because his visuals jive with what Matthew had done. And I'm very, very happy with this. I can't tell you because I feel like standing up and screaming at the top of my lungs that I'm getting a chance to do this again. And I think everybody was here the last time, the exact same people. And you're all related to me, right? You're all Italians. And I invited you all. This is a blast, I can't tell you. I have nothing intelligent to say right now.
Well, we can't do a Kick-Ass 2 panel without Kick-Ass. So, ladies and gentlemen, Aaron and Taylor Johnson.
How come nobody's ever tried to be a superhero?
Probably because it's doing to yourself.
Wow, this isn't overwhelming at all. Yeah, I've been training with Hit Girl.
So getting to come back and play these characters, one of the great things about the film is that you guys have genuinely grown and changed in the time between movies, which in sequels seems like that's not always the case. Can you talk about what you were asked to do in this movie and what your reaction was when you read the script?
Yeah, I think it's had a natural break. You know, it's been 4 years since we did the first one. So yeah, physically, you know, Chloe's changed visually, but it's, you know, so it felt like a natural progression. And for my character, what's really nice is that he hasn't changed at all, you know, since the first one. Yeah. The second part of that question was you said?
Just when you read the script and saw where this journey was going to take you this time.
It was always, you know, like, it's always been a conversation about, you know, when are we going to do the second one, and you know, the comic book came out, and there's, you know, the graphic novel to, you know, to go by on that, and you know, the first thing was, you know, I got a call from Matthew Vaughn, and saying, you know, I got someone really great who's written a fantastic script, and I'd like you to read it and see what you think. And that was Wadlow's script, and it was a page turner, man. I was just cracking up laughing, and it was emotional, and he took these characters to you know, through a wild kind of journey, and it really complex, and brought these characters to a whole new level, and I was super excited for it, and I was like, yeah, wow, I think this could be really interesting, and And then that's when we met up, and yeah, it was super exciting, and I can, you know, thought of it, you know, it leaves nowhere else, no gap left open was like, you know, I wonder if that character could have done this, or that, you know, it's just full of packed, you know, each character has a mad roller coaster that they go on, and an emotional one, and a life-changing one.
Well, when we talk about life changes, I gotta say, I don't think anybody in the cast goes through quite as dramatic a change as Christopher Mintz-Plasse, who we're gonna bring up next.
Hey, Drew.
Hey, how are you, Chris?
Good, man.
I gotta say, the places you go in this movie and the things they ask you to do, you could not walk onto this and just go halfway. You had to commit 100% to this character. Can you talk about playing something that you've never done before like this?
Yeah, I read the script and it was fantastic. It was dark. Jeff did a great job. I was really scared to do something this intense and this nerve-wracking, but Jeff had a great acting coach named Lee Kilton-Smith that came on board, and she helped me. We worked for like a month prior to shooting and read every scene, every line, figured out what to do for the character, and then she came with me on set, and we did a good job, I feel like.
It is a very dark ride that he takes,
yes.
And I think looking at the end of the first film, there's the hint that he's going to be a supervillain, but it's almost more playful.
Yeah.
Can you talk about really some of the edges that you guys push towards in this movie, and how that was to play?
I mean, first off was the costume change. I'm wearing like a GIMP outfit in this movie.
I thought I was wearing a GIMP.
Yeah, you were. It's very sexual. It was, I mean, it's super dark. There were some things in the comic book that we took out of the movie, which I think was a good choice, which was murdering a dog, and...
Spoilers!
and raping somebody, which I'm very glad I did not do any of those two things. But other than that, yeah, it was very dark, very intense to play.
One thing you got to remember about both Aaron and Chris, and why I was so excited to work with them, is that this wasn't like a Marvel movie where they've signed up for 17 films. There was no obligation for them to do this film, and so when they read the script and we started talking about the journeys that the characters were going to go on, they had so many great ideas and were immediately so invested. We just had a great partnership from the beginning.
That's great. And when I talk to your cast, when I talk to you about the cast, it's obvious that you have that main trio who is really crucial to this thing working. And unfortunately, we do not have Chloe Grace Moritz with us here today. I am sorry about that. But we do have a clip of Hit Girl real quick, and we'll show that. Chloe! All right, thank you for joining us, Miss.
Well, thank you. I wish I could be there, but unfortunately, I'm in Boston.
Well, I have to ask you, Hit Girl in this movie goes through some fairly dramatic changes, including a phenomenal scene where we see the hormones kick in for the first time. Can you talk about how you dealt with the high school end of the story, which to me is far scarier than any of the villains you have to face in the movie?
Yeah, you know, that was a really big, interesting arc that actually Jeff had this smart idea putting into the movie is, you know, Hit Girl decides to give up her life of crime because her stepfather, Marcus, comes there and he's like, look, I've been chosen to take care of you. I have to take care of you. And she's like, look, I'll trust you because my daddy told me to trust you. So she gives up and she goes to high school, and what she kind of realizes is that whether it's, you know, a drug dealer on the streets and a murderer, or it's a bad girl at school who is hating on these poor kids, she has to bring justice to the situation. And she realizes that Minnie McCready and Hit Girl are the same person, and they're not two different people. So there's a really interesting arc there that we built in, which actually can also really touch young, you know, teenagers too, because it's what they're going through in school.
So much of this, you know, in the first film we worked almost exclusively with Nick, and I think his presence is still very much felt in this film. But the focus now seems to be more on the connection between you and Aaron. Can you talk about the difference in the two films and just changing that focus for your character?
Totally, yeah. You know, that was another really interesting thing because, you know, you meet Hit Girl you know, years after the fact that she's lost her father, but the last time you see her, she lost her dad, and all she has is herself, and she knows that Mark is taking care of her, and her really only friend in the world is you know, Dave. And that's really the only person that knows who she is and knows who Hit Girl is. And that's why they have such a special bond is in the beginning, because, you know, she's out there still being a vigilante, still, you know, bringing justice and everything else, and then he's just kind of doing his, you know, kick-ass sort of thing. And then he comes to her because he wants to be trained by her, and she starts, you know, training him. And they really do form this amazing kind of bond because of what they've gone through together, and they know each other so well. And that's why, you know, that's why she's able to kind of maneuver into growing up, is almost through him in a way, and kind of see the world in a different light. And, you know, Nick, you know, his presence in the movie is still very, very, very strong. You know, you really do feel this kind of looming godlike figure, you know, which is that big daddy sort of thing. You know, she's always kind of talking about her daddy, and she's always referencing him, and you know, he's there. He's always there in her mind, and you can really, really see that. You know, we really wrote that into the script to where it's really there with her.
So last question, Chloe. I know you have to get back to work, but in the film, we see that your character has a strong sense of power, that she is able to take care of things, that she's able to handle situations. You've also just finished shooting Carrie, where you're essentially playing the opposite version of that, somebody who is powerless and eventually finds a voice. What is it about characters like this that you find interesting and compelling?
Well, you know, it's really about finding those characters that are opposite of who I am as a person, because I'm such a normal 16-year-old girl. You know, I have my life, I have my mom who loves me, I have my family who loves me, and I love doing characters that are super opposite of me. And that's why, you know, when I read the script for Carrie, I immediately fell in love with that character and who she is and what was going on in society. And it kind of, you know, it kind of put something out there as, you know, this is what I'm standing for in a way. And that's why I really fell in love with that character. And then when I read the new script for Kick-Ass, I needed that with Mindy. You know, you need to see who she is and who she wants to be, and kind of that hope. And you gotta see how she's this strong, kind of cock-rattling kind of girl, but there's something, you know, behind all the layers and all the things and all the, you know, the stuff she puts on. There's a little girl in there, you know, that lost her dad and that doesn't have the power to stand up and face what actually is happening in her life. So she's masking it by going and bringing justice to the world and doing great things, but she is completely lost in her own self. You know, she has no idea who she is. And, you know, that was really what kind of really attracted me to the character of Mindy in the second one, you know.
Well, Chloe, thank you so much for taking the time. Ladies and gents, one more time for Hit Girl, Chloe Grace Moritz.
Thank you, guys. Bye, have fun, Comic-Con.
All right.
Can I just point out that Chloe actually isn't in Boston? She's still in her hotel room just with a hangover today, you know? But she's looked pretty good.
So now we've met the returning cast. There are some new members of the Kick-Ass 2 family that we want to introduce to you as well. I'd like to bring out Lindy Booth, Donald Faison, and as the evil Alfred, John Leguizamo. So now, Jeff, now we've got everybody out here. Are you ready to show some footage?
Yeah, we have some exclusive footage that no one has seen before. It's the trailer. We've sort of blown it out and put some scenes in there and some material that's never been shown. So this is just for you guys. It's going to be online later, but and I think it'll be a little bit dirtier, the online version. This is slightly green band for everyone here, but you'll see
very slightly.
Very slight. But you'll.
It's not real, right?
That is a very real person. I was about to say that's all natural, but that would not be true. No, that is the incredible Olga. We did a global search for Mother Russia. and I had to go on some very questionable sites to find candidates. I'm on some weird watch lists now, I'm sure. But we found Olga, and she is just fantastic in the movie. She doesn't speak English, so like a lot of the scenes when I was directing her, I had to like come out and do it, and it was not nearly as impressive when I did it.
Chris, Aaron, when I was in London watching you guys shoot, it was a day where there was a fight scene being shot between the two of you, and I was blown away that for 2 solid days, you guys went at it full force, very, very little time off between takes, and you had to maintain that energy the entire time. This is not an easy shoot for either of you. Can you talk about preparing for just the physical side of what you had to do?
Well, I was shooting a TV show in LA at the same time as doing this movie, so I was flying back and forth from LA to London. So I didn't have much time to fully prepare. I would land in London, go straight to set, learn the fight that day, and then shoot it that night. Whereas Aaron's been doing one-arm push-ups for 3 months and has been totally prepared and kicked my ass, man, honestly. It's great.
We had an incredible stunt team, and you know, we'd have them on set every day, and we'd train with them and do boxing and some jiu-jitsu and things like that. It was really great. We could kind of train MMA style and stuff. But you know what? When you're on the film schedule, and you know it's hard to fit in those things in time. So you just pick it up on your breaks, and you go into the gym and you practice a new bit of choreography, which is how I'd learn it, you know, in a sort of a dance kind of routine thing. But yeah, I mean, Chris, I mean, how he had to do that was incredible, and we'd have, you know, but you just enjoy it really, but we get a lot of nicks and bruises, and by the end of it,
well, that was intense, Jeff. You made us do that fight scene probably like 45 times.
Oh yeah, and I wasn't even filming half the time. I just liked watching it, and I wanted you guys to be really tired.
Yeah.